Lessons learned from Israelites. Life is a faith journey, much like the Israelites' journey from Egypt to Canaan. Their story is not just history, it mirrors our own spiritual walk, moving from a place of bondage, through testing, into abundance. There are three spiritual states every believer experiences. 1. Egypt, a land of barely enough. 2. The desert, a place of just enough. 3. Canaan, the destination of more than enough. Where you are today depends on your faith and obedience. But God's plan is always to take us to Canaan, the place of more than enough. Egypt, a land of barely enough. Egypt was the place where the Israelites were enslaved. Their lives were controlled by Pharaoh, and they barely survived. Egypt represents sin, bondage, and a life apart from God. It's a place where people work hard, but never have true satisfaction. Characteristics of Egypt. 1. It's comfortable, yet destructive. The Israelites longed for Egypt, even after being freed. They remembered the food and entertainment, but forgot the pain and slavery. Egypt's pleasures make it hard to leave. Many Christians want to follow God, but still hold on to the garlic and spices of the past, sinful habits, toxic relationships, and worldly pleasures. 2. You must leave Egypt, physically and mentally. God took the Israelites out of Egypt, but many still had an Egyptian mindset. Leaving Egypt is not just about location, it's about transformation. To experience God's promises, you must fully let go of your old life. You cannot move into Canaan while still longing for Egypt. The desert, a place of just enough. Once the Israelites left Egypt, they entered the wilderness, a place of testing, transformation, and total dependence on God. The desert represents a season of faith building. It's a place where God provides, but only just enough for each day. Characteristics of the desert. 1. God provides, but you must trust Him daily. The Israelites received manna from heaven, but only enough for each day. Many Christians today live in a desert mentality, surviving, but not thriving. 2. Your faith will be tested. The desert is not comfortable. It's where you face trials, temptations, and have to choose between trusting God or giving up. The question in the desert is, will you trust God or will you turn back? 3. You can stay in the desert too long. What was meant to be a short journey to Canaan took 40 years because of disobedience and doubt. Some Christians stay in just enough because they refuse to take the next step of faith. The desert is temporary. God is teaching you faith and obedience, but you are not meant to stay there forever. Canaan, a land of more than enough. Canaan was the promised land, a place flowing with milk and honey. It represents God's abundance, purpose, and rest. God wants us to live in abundance, not just financially, but spiritually, emotionally, and in purpose. Characteristics of Canaan. 1. It's a place of overflow. The Israelites moved from surviving to thriving. God didn't just provide, He gave them ownership of the land. 2. You must remember God in abundance. Many Christians pray hard in the desert but forget God in Canaan. You must get rid of the Canaan mentality. Canaan was blessed, but it had pagan cultures. The Israelites were warned not to adopt their ways. God's blessings should not lead us away from Him, but closer to Him. Canaan is not just about prosperity, it's about living in God's perfect will. In conclusion, every Christian is in one of these three places. Egypt, barely enough. Are you still trapped in sin and worldly distractions? The desert, just enough. Are you trusting God, even in hard times? Canaan, more than enough. Are you living in God's abundance while staying faithful? God plans to move us from Egypt, through the desert, into Canaan. Where you are now is not your final destination. Be and stay blessed.